Nadine Menendez, a name synonymous with power in New Jersey politics, now carries a different weight. Once a respected figure, her reputation lies in tatters, marred by a shocking fall from grace. The woman who effortlessly navigated the corridors of power now faces the harsh reality of a courtroom, accused of abusing her position for personal gain. Menendez's story serves as a stark reminder that power, when misused, can lead to a spectacular downfall. The woman who championed the causes of her constituents now stands accused of betraying their trust. The indictment against Nadine Menendez reads like a Hollywood script, filled with allegations of corruption and deceit. At the heart of the case lies the accusation of bribery, a serious offense that strikes at the core of public trust. Prosecutors allege that Menendez used her position to enrich herself and her associates, accepting lavish gifts and favors in exchange for political influence. These alleged bribes range from luxurious vacations to lucrative business deals, painting a picture of a public servant more concerned with personal gain than serving her constituents. The indictment further alleges that Menendez engaged in a calculated cover-up, attempting to obstruct justice to conceal her actions. As the legal process unfolds, the evidence presented will determine the validity of these claims and ultimately decide her fate. At the center of the bribery scandal surrounding Nadine Menendez lies a lucrative gold business, a venture shrouded in secrecy and alleged illicit dealings. Prosecutors argue that Menendez used her political influence to benefit this specific gold enterprise, receiving significant kickbacks in return for her actions. This alleged quid pro quo arrangement forms the crux of the bribery charges against her. The prosecution contends that Menendez leveraged her position to secure favorable treatment for the gold business, potentially involving regulatory approvals or access to lucrative contracts. The gold business, once perceived as a legitimate enterprise, has now transformed into a symbol of corruption, its operations tainted by the allegations against Menendez. As the investigation into Nadine Menendez's alleged bribery scheme deepened, a complex web of connections emerged, ensnaring individuals from various walks of life. Key among them were businessmen with ties to the gold industry, individuals accused of acting as intermediaries, facilitating the flow of bribes and favors between Menendez and those seeking to buy her influence. One prominent figure in this intricate web was a wealthy businessman whose name repeatedly surfaced in connection with the gold venture. Prosecutors allege that this individual funneled large sums of money to Menendez, disguised as legitimate business transactions or campaign contributions, in exchange for her political favors. The trial aims to expose the roles and motivations of these individuals, revealing the extent of their involvement in the alleged conspiracy. The intricate web of alleged corruption surrounding Nadine Menendez extends beyond the borders of the United States, reaching the ancient lands of Egypt. Prosecutors have presented evidence suggesting that a portion of the bribes Menendez allegedly received originated from individuals or entities operating within Egypt, adding an international dimension to the case. While the specifics of the Egyptian connection remain shrouded in mystery, investigators believe that certain individuals or businesses with interests in the gold trade sought to leverage Menendez's influence to gain a foothold in the American market. In exchange for her assistance, they allegedly funneled vast sums of money, described by some as a pharaoh's ransom, into accounts controlled by Menendez or her associates. This alleged international money trail has raised concerns about the potential involvement of foreign actors in attempting to influence American politics. The prosecution's case against Nadine Menendez rests on a mountain of evidence painstakingly gathered over months of investigation. This evidence includes a trove of financial records, emails, and other documents that allegedly detail the flow of money and favors between Menendez and those seeking to buy her influence. These records, prosecutors argue, paint a damning picture of corruption and deceit. In addition to the documentary evidence, the prosecution has presented a series of witnesses, individuals with first-hand knowledge of Menendez's dealings. These witnesses, some of whom are former associates or confidants, have provided compelling testimonies, alleging that Menendez engaged in a pattern of behavior consistent with the bribery charges. One witness, a former employee of the gold business, testified to witnessing Menendez solicit bribes in exchange for using her political influence to benefit the company. Another witness, a close friend of Menendez, recounted conversations in which Menendez allegedly boasted about using her position for personal gain. The trial of Nadine Menendez has captivated the nation, transforming a nondescript courtroom into a stage for a real-life political thriller. Every twist and turn of the proceedings is followed closely by the media and the public alike, eager to witness the unraveling of this intricate tale of alleged corruption and betrayal. Inside the courtroom, a sense of gravity pervades the air. The weight of evidence, the gravity of the accusations, and the potential consequences of a guilty verdict create an atmosphere of palpable tension. Each day brings forth new revelations, dramatic testimonies, and heated exchanges between the prosecution and the defense. Spectators from all walks of life fill the gallery, their faces reflecting a mix of curiosity, skepticism, and a thirst for justice. Journalists, armed with notebooks and cameras, diligently record every detail of the proceedings, eager to transmit the latest developments to a captivated audience. The prosecution, determined to prove Nadine Menendez's guilt, has meticulously constructed its case, calling upon witnesses to expose the alleged bribery scheme and Menendez's role in it. Each witness adds a brushstroke, painting Menendez as a corrupt official. Individuals from Menendez's inner circle recount events implicating her. Facing a mountain of evidence and a parade of damaging testimonies, Nadine Menendez's defense team has mounted a vigorous defense, fighting tirelessly to dismantle the prosecution's case and portray their client as a victim of circumstance rather than a perpetrator of crimes. Their strategy hinges on discrediting witnesses, highlighting inconsistencies in the prosecution's narrative, and presenting Menendez as a dedicated public servant targeted by political enemies. The defense attorneys, skilled legal minds known for their tenacity, have challenged the credibility of key prosecution witnesses, suggesting that their testimonies are motivated by personal vendettas or a desire for leniency in their own legal troubles. They have meticulously cross-examined each witness, attempting to expose inconsistencies in their accounts and sow seeds of doubt in the minds of the jurors. Furthermore, the defense has argued that the prosecution's case relies heavily on circumstantial evidence, lacking the proverbial smoking gun that directly links Menendez to the alleged bribery scheme. As the trial of Nadine Menendez enters its final phase, a palpable sense of anticipation hangs heavy in the air. The jury, tasked with the weighty responsibility of determining Menendez's fate, has retreated to deliberate, weighing the evidence presented, scrutinizing the testimonies, and grappling with the complexities of the case. Outside the courtroom, the nation holds its breath, awaiting a verdict that will have far-reaching implications. The tension is palpable, a tangible force that permeates the corridors of the courthouse. Journalists huddle together, whispering speculations, their cameras at the ready to capture the reactions of both sides when the verdict is announced. Legal analysts dissect every aspect of the trial on television, offering their insights and predictions, fueling the public's insatiable appetite for information. For Nadine Menendez, the waiting game is undoubtedly agonizing. While the bribery charges against Nadine Menendez painted a picture of calculated greed, the obstruction of justice charges revealed a darker side, a desperate attempt to conceal her alleged crimes and evade accountability. Prosecutors allege that Menendez, realizing the gravity of her situation, engaged in a series of actions designed to hinder the investigation, tamper with evidence, and silence potential witnesses. These alleged actions, far from mitigating the accusations against her, serve to compound the damage to her reputation and further erode public trust. The prosecution meticulously laid out a timeline of Menendez's alleged obstructive actions, highlighting phone calls, emails, and meetings that suggested a concerted effort to interfere with the legal process. These actions, they argued, demonstrated consciousness of guilt, a clear indication that Menendez knew she had broken the law and sought to protect herself at any cost. Central to the obstruction of justice charges against Nadine Menendez was the allegation of evidence tampering, a serious offense that struck at the heart of the judicial process. Prosecutors presented evidence suggesting that Menendez, upon realizing the investigation was closing in on her, took steps to destroy documents and other materials that could have incriminated her. Among the most damning pieces of evidence was a series of emails recovered from Menendez's personal account, emails that had been hastily deleted but not permanently erased. These emails, according to the prosecution, contained incriminating conversations between Menendez and her alleged co-conspirators, discussing ways to conceal their actions and silence potential witnesses. Furthermore, witnesses testified to seeing Menendez personally shredding documents in her office, documents that they believed were related to the bribery scheme. As the prosecution built its case against Nadine Menendez on the obstruction of justice charges, a pattern of alleged deception and intimidation emerged, further tarnishing the former politician's reputation. Witnesses, some of whom had once been close confidants, took the stand to describe how Menendez attempted to silence them, pressure them to lie to investigators, or change their stories to protect her. One former aide, her voice trembling with emotion, testified that Menendez had contacted her shortly after the investigation became public, urging her to delete certain emails and to tell investigators that she had no knowledge of any wrongdoing. Another witness, a former campaign volunteer, recounted how Menendez had offered to help him find a new job if he agreed to tell investigators that he had never witnessed any improper behavior on her part. The more she tried to control the narrative, the more apparent it became that she had something to hide. The obstruction of justice charges against Nadine Menendez transcended the specifics of the bribery scandal, striking at the very foundation of the American legal system. They served as a stark reminder that justice, while blind, is not easily deceived, and that attempts to obstruct its course carry severe consequences. Menendez's alleged actions, if proven true, represented a betrayal of the public trust, a brazen attempt to manipulate the legal system for personal gain. They undermine the principles of fairness and accountability that underpin a functioning democracy, leaving a stain on the very office she once held. The broader implications of Menendez's case extend beyond the courtroom, raising questions about the prevalence of corruption in politics and the lengths to which some individuals will go to cling to power. Section 1. The verdict: guilty as charged. After weeks of intense testimony, the jury in the trial of Nadine Menendez delivered its verdict, guilty on all counts. The words reverberated through the courtroom, signaling the fall from grace of a once powerful political figure. The guilty verdict marked a stunning downfall for Menendez, a woman who had built her career on integrity. The charges, once mere allegations, had now been affirmed by a jury of her peers. Section 2. The fall from grace, consequences, and legacy. The guilty verdict against Nadine Menendez sent shockwaves through the political landscape. Menendez, once a rising star, now faces a lengthy prison sentence, her career shattered. The consequences extend far beyond her personal downfall. The scandal has eroded public trust, casting a shadow over the political process. Menendez's case serves as a cautionary tale of corruption in power. Section 3. A call to action, safeguarding our democracy. The downfall of Nadine Menendez reminds us of the fragility of our democracy and the need to safeguard it. We must hold our elected officials accountable and demand transparency and integrity in government. This case is about the values we uphold as a nation: fairness, justice, and accountability. It's a call to action for all citizens to engage in the political process and hold their representatives to the highest ethical standards. We cannot afford to become complacent or cynical. Apathy is the enemy of democracy. We must demand better from our leaders and hold them accountable. The future of our democracy depends on it. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates. See you on the next video.